Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great cast on the day. And yes, I'm here with Lod, bottom laner, 80 carry for, I guess you played some Zings too, or it goes back and forth. Anyway, doesn't matter. You play the bottom lane for Team Dignitas. I want to ask you, because you guys had an 0-2 week last week, how'd you guys recover from that?
I was surprised that we actually just 2-0'd because our scrims weren't like super good this week. But even though we went 0-2 last week, the games weren't too bad. Like we got leads in a lot of games, we just didn't close it out properly, so we didn't feel like too bad about it. Just kind of kept grinding and yeah, showed up today.
And you guys actually traded away Stunt as well from the bottom lane, so you haven't had to work with him anymore, just EpicSkillshot. So what was the thought process behind trading away Stunt, and how have you been feeling about it?
I think Stunt's a really good player, but I mean, there's an opportunity for him to be a starter on P1, right? So it's just a better opportunity for him, and then I trust EpicSkillshot a lot, the whole team trusts EpicSkillshot a lot, so we're fine just having him play all the time, yeah.
All right, awesome. You know, looking forward to if you guys ever meet each other again in this split. So final question here for you. You guys are now 4 wins in your last 6 games, and you guys are finding a decent amount of consistency here as you're making a run for playoffs there. How have you guys actually been finding that consistency for Team Dignitas?
Cop was just the answer, man. He came in and just changed everything. Like, before that, we were just losing every game. Didn't seem like there was much hope, and then he came through and just started lifting the team atmosphere up a little bit, just changed the game, so it's been good.
So I said final question, but I lied because I want to have a follow-up there. So what is the biggest thing that you think he's changed? You're talking about atmosphere, but what exactly has Cop actually done for you and the team?
Oh, he's just a chill guy to have around, and he knows what he's doing. He's smart about the game. He's got a lot of experience. He's just useful. He's just cool to have around. It's good. So.
All right, nothing but praise for the coach there. Well, congratulations, Lon, on the victory over CounterLogic Gaming. And now we're going to throw it over to the guys at the desk to actually close that one out.
Thank you very much, Zyrene. Dignitas here, 2-0 victory over CLG, moving to 5-8. And hey, we talked about at the very beginning of the day, dark horses for making a run at playoffs, and this is the way that Dignitas has to do it. As Zyrene just mentioned, 4 out of their last 6 games are victories, so finding a little bit of consistency here now with this squad.
Coach Cop.
Coach Cop. High praise for Coach Cop as well. But when we dive into this game specifically, Mark, I want to return to your point about CLG and their skirmishing, right? Because once again, we find ourselves at 18 minutes here in this game in a very kind of chaotic, collapsy team fight here in which Dignitas comes out ahead.
Yeah, Dignitas starts the playoff. They get a pick on the sticks today. They have to blow a lot of resources to do so. So CLG thinks, okay, maybe we can collapse and punish this. Darshan TP's in early, and then he chases so hard here instead of playing this out just a little bit slower, giving more time for his team to collapse. Instead, because he's in so early, he goes down. This leaves Smithy alone to try and turn it, and then it's too hard. You see Afro getting blown up by Keen, never really able to get involved in that play. And they lose another fight here, and they get ace just 18 minutes into the game, basically.
It literally looks like the same story as the first game, except for this time it didn't equal into a dragon and 2 towers. It was just 1 dragon this time. Still just like a terrible series of skirmishes for the series overall.
And I think, like we said, this is a problem that's dated back almost like even to week 1. If you look to their first loss versus TL, it was a very similar story where like they fought super hard around the bot lane and fed 4 kills over in one of the games that they lost. So I think CLG needs to figure something out because this has been an issue all year long and it's still a huge problem.
And to your point though, Scar, about the fact that the advantage gained from that ace not quite as large as the one from game 1, and therefore we did see a little bit more of a kind of a back and forth or stalled out mid-game, even into the late game for both teams, allowing Darshan to become a split push presence on that Fiora. At that point, we say, okay, CLG should be somewhat comfortable in this situation, and with their experience in competitive League of Legends, understand how to close out the game, having the split push potential. Now let's go to 35 minutes and see how it played out. Didn't play out in their favor, because what happens once again? They find themselves in a very chaotic reactionary situation and they don't play it correctly.
Yeah, and so this starts out with them basically trying to keep Dignitas off the Baron, buying time for Darshan to do that split push. A little bit of a group up here where you see Stixxay run up to the top side, who he runs down. They need to be on the same page there. Stixxay loses his flash early on. They can play the situation out a lot better if Stixxay still has flash here. Like, think about how this could have been, because it was really close to them actually winning this.
The fact that they salvaged this much, able to get the inhib still and only trade, 2 deaths for the 1 kill is actually pretty good considering they had that kind of miscommunication and had to blow the flash.
And then my big problem with this is that after that play, they basically force really hard around the Baron again. And I think that they can play it a little bit slower. Darshan got a lot of work done there, still has his TP available. You can can potentially set him down on the bot side and have him start threatening to like end the game or something instead of going for that crazy Baron force.
I think this kind of goes back to Dignitas' problem, which is like closing out games. You know, even though Dig had the gold lead, they still were being led around by CLG's like play, and so like CLG dictated the like all the situations leading up to Baron. I don't think that should have been the case. I think the Thresh pick kind of threw them off because their initiation was Jhin, Lulu, Rengar, and Thresh could easily lantern someone away from the initiation. But because of that, it should have been that because Dig couldn't find the play, CLG had an easy way to set up the perfect conditions to win the game, and they just didn't do that.
Right. Game 1, Dignitas had a big advantage, used it correctly, closed out the game with a solid strategy. Game 2, you're saying CLG more so made a mistake that Dignitas was able to capitalize on, as opposed to Dignitas being kind of the catalyst for the play.
Right, exactly. And to be fair, that's because like Dignitas didn't close out the game, doesn't know how to like end the game there by themselves. But still, like it's if you're given like the driver's seat, like if you get to dictate the pace of the game, that means the game is yours, regardless of the goal difference.
Right. I mean, you have a Fiora on 3 items. That's when they finally start split push pressuring with it, and then they just seemed like they wanted to do too much with the flip side of the map to draw pressure to let Darshan do a split push. So they end up in a lot of really crazy Baron situations right after that, and eventually, just because CLG's not playing their best right now, that they flub one of those, and that's kind of how the game ends.
Right. Typically, if you have one really solid lane of pressure coming from that Fiora, it gives you the time and the space to really develop plays. But instead, CLG not choosing to, to utilize that time and instead rushing into a few things gets turned around on them. Player of the game this time around going to go to Chaser. Highest kill participation there in the game. Lots of early kills, helping the team get rolling a little bit. Good performances on that Rengar.
Yeah, like you saw how he got the mid lane kill. He was able to get all the initiations going in both games. He ended up playing like Lulu, Rengar, the core duo in this entire series is those two. Yeah. And because of that, he was just able to start fights.
Yeah, that big play in the bot lane was basically started off them picking off Stixxay with that Lulu Rengar.
Right, and of course, getting that trade 1-for-1 early in the mid lane, or trading the kill in the bot lane for the kill in the mid lane, kind of getting the Syndra rolling. Where he really struggled on that Orianna. I know we had some, thoughts about maybe going for the Echo pick instead into the Syndra, which we know is a champion that he enjoys playing.
Yeah, I mean, I was the one personally in favor of the Echo pick a little bit. I think he's just better on that champion, and it changes how the whole game plays out because you're looking more at a 1-3-1 than a 4-1 here. And if they get aced at 18 minutes in the game, I think Echo looks way worse than an Orianna. So in that sense, like the Orianna pick worked out a little bit as the game stalled.
I think you can't blame the pick because it's like, look at how the game even opened up for Dig. It's that the jungler ran through a ward 8 seconds away from mid lane, like at the Raptor camp. It wasn't some sneaky run through. It wasn't like he went around the ward.
Path?
Yeah, he just went straight through it, and then he dies. They're probably listening to the shot calling that's going on bot lane, and he doesn't notice the Rengar walking through. That's a pretty amateur mistake, honestly.
Gotcha. All right. Well, earlier in the day, I asked you guys to pick your dark horse. You guys did land on Dignitas as one of the options or teams that you think might best be able to make a run towards playoffs. This is a good victory towards that. But given what you saw today in terms of the play, I know you want to see some more consistency in the way they close. But do you still have some confidence that this is a team that can move into the top 6, especially when you look at CLG as one of the teams that could possibly fall out?
I think it's pretty good because before we were like, oh, they can't make proactive plays at all. Now it looks like they've been practicing a very specific comp, Lulu Rengar. That's how they get fights started. Sure, it doesn't look super clean, but that's a lot of development for 1 week of practice. I think that they have maybe stuff they're focused on a lot in scrims, and it's really showing off on stage.
I think you can talk a little bit about the coaching staff change. I know we've joked about it a lot, like, oh, Coach Kopp, it's crazy, he's turned everything around. But if you really don't have a good coaching staff backing you and like getting everyone on the same page, it can be very hard to improve. And that coaching change in the middle of the season might be one of the big breaking points for this team.
Well,
that kind of launched them.
Right. There's some support on Twitter for Dignitas as well, along with many other teams, and we'll keep going back and checking out what you guys have to say when it comes to dark horses for playoffs. We've got more NA LCS action coming up after the break. When we return, FlyQuest take the stage against Immortals. Don't go anywhere.
What's a haka?
It's a special ceremony in Keem's homeland. It's akin to like Canadians and maple syrup,
Really?
Like New Zealand and the haka are just like, they're one and the same,
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
What the hell?
Chaser really seen. Nice hook comes in, and Smithy is there for the Lantern gank. The trap was there. Beautifully played. The first blood comes through again. Huhi running for dear life, and just like the last game, first blood Smithy and a kill on a Huhi right after.
Of course.
Avec shield too.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Grace.
Orianna.
Yeah. 플래시로 플래시 그래브러시 신다고 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 나이스 바운타워
Okay, nice.
굿잡 랭가 이니시 굿
Dignitas will be taking out the Baron. Nice crit from Lon, and now they're re-engaged. Why does CLG even fight this? They give away 2 more kills. The second inhibitor, and that's the kill. It's over. There's no way they can defend this team. Dignitas gonna make it the 2-0. The base defense is a catastrophe.